Hey there, this is Natalie, and welcome to another dive into interesting stories from Reddit. If you like this type of video, please subscribe to the channel for more, and consider taking a look at some of the other videos you can find here. This is a fairly new channel, and I really want to get it monetized. So anytime you spend listening to these wild Reddit stories really helps me out. Now, let's get started. This is a concluded story that was originally posted to r/offmychest, and it was posted by user leshill36. The title of this one is My 35 male, wife 29 female, came out to me as a lesbian yesterday and I'm shattered. And this is one of those stories that comes with a big update from about a year after the original post, and I think those are always interesting to see. So we'll begin with the original post, which was from March 2023, and OP says, "We've been together for 10 years, married for 4. She was/is the love of my life, and the thought of living life without her is unbearable. Yesterday morning I woke up, noticed her sitting on the patio crying, so I obviously went to go to console her and figure out what was wrong. While fighting back tears, she manages to tell me that she's a lesbian, and she's so sorry. She isn't attracted to me anymore, but she also doesn't want to leave me. I've always known she was into women as well, but it was never an issue for me. We've had quite a few three-ways with different women over the years, and they've all been amazing. I've even been fine with her exploring that side of herself with other women without me. I just wanted her to be happy and fulfilled. The entire day was spent either crying or talking about our now uncertain future. All the plans we've made about buying a home, travel, getting cats and dogs, retirement went up in smoke. We had a fantastic life in the bedroom up until just a few days ago. We would have intimacy at least a few times a week, and we rarely failed to get each other off. We experimented and grew with each other over the years, exploring new kinks and figuring out new ways to please one another. I told her I didn't blame her, that if she really is a lesbian, it's not her fault, and she hasn't really done anything wrong, but it doesn't make it hurt any less. She's my best friend. We had/have such a wonderful, supportive relationship, and we've been through so effing much together. I can't stand the thought of losing her and starting over. She said she doesn't want to leave me, that she still wants a future with me, just without the intimacy. But she also understands how unfair that is to me, so she's fine with me finding a F-buddy or two if I wanted. All I really want is her though. I'm so insanely attracted to her, and I make sure to tell her so every day. She's the sexiest woman in the world to me, but finding out that attraction is one-sided has obviously shattered my heart and crippled my self-esteem. I don't know what to do. I'm certain most of the comments I get will be along the lines of move on, or the classic lawyer up, start hitting the gym, but I don't know if I'm strong enough to do that. I'm praying she's going to wake up and realise she made a mistake, that she's just overwhelmed and confused. But deep down, I know that's not how it works, but the wounds are so fresh I'm grasping at any little straws of hope I can find. We don't have any kids, all our pets have passed away, but we did just move into a new house last week, so we may be stuck together until next March at least. I just want my wife back." Well, this has to be a really difficult situation. I actually know someone back in old London town who went through a similar thing, and the solution that they found was that they did actually stay together and remain married and living together. The wife ended up having a kind of serious relationship with a woman, that he knew about and was fully supportive of. But because he still loved his wife so much, he could never really bring himself to get romantically involved with anybody else. So he did kind of have friends with benefits for that side of things, but he just never really accepted that the woman he saw as the love of his life, could only really love him platonically. Their situation was a bit different because they did have a son. And I mean, this is someone I knew maybe 15 years ago, And this had been the situation they'd been living with for about 10 years when I got to know him. And as far as I know from seeing things on Facebook and stuff, they do still seem to be married. And as far as most people know, they're an ordinary couple. I only really found out about this situation because he was the kind of friend from work that you occasionally get drunk with, and then they start telling you more personal things. He'd always been one of those people that was always talking about how wonderful his wife was and how much he loved her. And I think one night we were at some kind of office party and we were all quite drunk, and he was talking about asking me and some of the other girls in the friend group for like dating advice because he was interested in getting with some girl. He was maybe 20 years older than us, so it was kind of funny. But I was like, why do you need dating advice? You've been married forever. You're always talking about how wonderful your wife is and how great your relationship is. And with him, being a bit drunk and loose-lipped, he actually told me the reality of his situation. And I mean, it did seem to work for them up to a point. It was certainly much harder for him because, as I said, he did really still love her. But they made it work for their family, and I guess that's, what ended up being their way of making the best of an uncomfortable situation. But I would think maybe if they hadn't had a child together, and maybe if it had happened now rather than, I guess, like over 20 years ago, maybe, it would have been a different sort of decision that they made about their future together. And so OP here, he may have decided it was better for them to move forward just as friends and to try to form new relationships for the both of them rather than just for her. But since we do have a year later update from March 24, let's take a look at what actually did happen for OP, rather than me just regaling you with tales of my old drinking buddies. So OP says, "Hola Reddit, long time no talk. I figured it was about time to update y'all on the roller coaster that has been the last year of my life. Allow me to start with a few apologies. Sorry for the jumbled mess that was my original post. I was a mess at that time, and apologies to everyone that reached out that I didn't get back to. There were a lot of you, and it became too much to continue replying with the same answers over and over. I appreciate every one of you that reached out with kind words, and those that shared their similar experiences. 1 year ago today, I woke up and got out of bed blissfully unaware of the fact that my life was about to completely crumble around me. That morning, I found my wife on our old back patio, clearly in distress, so obviously I put on my best husband hat and went to figure out what the issue was. I assumed it was something work-related, but I was very wrong. While fighting back tears, she manages to tell me that she's a lesbian and she's so very sorry. I'll never forget the feeling of the world closing in on me as the most intense fear, panic, confusion and grief began to set in. Initially, she said she wasn't going to leave me, that we could go to do couples therapy and figure out a path forward. Of course, I agreed. 3 days after receiving that news, I was informed by my mother that my stepdad was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. 3 days after that, I was told by my father that my stepmom was also diagnosed with skin cancer. Thankfully, my stepmom had surgery and is cancer-free, but my stepdad wasn't as fortunate. He passed away last November. He was a wonderful, funny, kind, successful and impressive man, and I miss him a lot. Having all of these things hit me within a week caused me to completely spiral out of control. I refrained from going to work. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I merely existed. I became one with my couch and distracted myself with hockey podcasts and weed. My wife did her best to be there for me, but she was obviously going through her own turmoil, and she retreated into her own world, physically and emotionally. For a bit of backstory, she had spent her life with crippling anxiety, and the mere thought of a tough conversation was enough to cause her to break down crying. But months prior to all of this, she had begun taking anti-anxiety meds, so now she was finally able to communicate to me not only that she was gay, but all the other times I'd let her down. 10 years worth of moments I'd been inconsiderate or insufficient as a partner. I always thought we'd communicated well, but apparently that was more one-sided, and I'd always thought I did a wonderful job as a husband. I tried to be attentive, thoughtful, caring and compassionate. I was never abusive or cheated. We rarely fought, but when we did, we always ended up talking it out like adults. I thought I was doing a great job, but I wasn't doing the things she needed out of a partner. But since she never communicated it to me, how was I to know? Hearing about all these little moments that I'd let her down hurt like hell, but it also gave me a light at the end of the tunnel. A mission. Save marriage. I couldn't do anything about her being gay, but I could damn sure make up for every instance of neglect. I put together a plan to prove to her I was worth staying with. I surprised her with a picnic, got us tickets to the circus, made a reservation at a restaurant for the first time in my life, and took her for her favourite kind of food. I began learning French. She's French-Canadian. I took the lead on planning our next big vacation. I started writing her a song. I was going to give her guitar lessons since she'd expressed interest in the past. I spent every minute of every day for the next 2 months figuring out ways to show her just how much she meant to me. She was also able to confess that she wanted children. We'd agreed early on that kids weren't on the table, but she had a change of heart, and for her I would absolutely have done it, and I told her so numerous times. In May, she left the country for a girls' trip to the Dominican. It had been planned for at least a year. We agreed to go minimal contact during the week-long trip, so she could get her head straight and really figure out what she wanted. We actually hooked up the day before she left, and it was the first time in 2 months I felt like everything was actually going to be okay. But the day she came home, she officially ended our marriage. Now, one of the toughest parts of this situation was we had just moved into a big new house with a few roommates on March the 1st. Neither of us could afford to have her just move out right away. It would have screwed ourselves and our roomies over financially. We live in Vancouver, and it's bloody expensive here, so we figured out a system of sharing the room. There were even times where we would still share the bed, but it eventually became too painful. So I renovated the large shed in our backyard with a futon, air conditioning and a TV, and basically lived in it all summer. She began dating someone, so as time went on, she was gone more and more, until she'd basically moved out but continued to pay rent. During those months, so many people close to me went through tragedies too. One of my closest friends lost his mom to cancer. A good friend from high school lost his wife to cancer too. I'd known her through work and got to see them begin their relationship, get married and have a beautiful daughter, only for it to end so unbelievably tragically, a mere weeks before my stepdad's passing. My stepsister's longtime partner chose to end his life. The amount of grief I felt for myself and those close to me was unbearable, unfathomable. So much loss in such a short space of time. Every day for months I thought about ending it all, but kept going because I couldn't do that to my parents. For all the bad that took place, there was actually some good. I quit my toxic but well-paying job in May due to being so overwhelmed and their lack of sympathy towards my situation. And that led me to find an absolute dream job a few months later. Now I work as the quality control guy for a large music retailer's guitar department. I get to play, test and fix guitars every day, and it's a dream come true. A few buddies and I entered a radio contest last summer, and we actually won it. We improvised a 30-second commercial, submitted it, and out of over 80 entries, we won $10,000 and nationwide play. My ex-wife actually saw our commercial play on the big screen before a movie once. I started a stupid YouTube channel with a good friend, doing dumb reaction videos. It's not even remotely successful yet, but it's a fun outlet. The Christmas prior to my wife coming out, she bought me the Blu-ray box set of the entire Dragon Ball Z series, and somehow we managed to watch all of it, before, during and after the split. I'm quite proud of that for us. And finally, last November I met someone really special. She was also out of a long-term marriage, and they'd split for pretty much the same reason. We've been officially dating since New Year's Day. She's absolutely wonderful. Beautiful, intelligent, successful, and an insanely talented artist. She's inspired me to start painting, and I've inspired her to take up guitar. We've been helping each other heal and enjoy life again. My ex and I are still on good terms. We still care about one another and only want the best for each other. She was there when we saw my stepdad for the last time. She and my mom are still friendly, which honestly makes me really happy. And she officially moved out on March the 1st of this year. It's been a wild ride, from breaking down and bawling my eyes out 10 times a day to where I am now. The best job I've ever had and a fun, promising new relationship. I truly didn't think I'd made it through, but I have. Thanks for reading, y'all, and I'll include my original post in the comments section. Oh, I'm so glad that after that horrible start to the year, between finding out his wife was gay and all of those tragedies within his family and his friend group, he still managed to come out of the other side of it. Glad that he didn't, nope out of existing, and on the brink of a promising new relationship, a dream job, and hopefully a life that will be everything he wanted from his original marriage and more. I like it when the stories have a happy ending, or at least a hopeful ending. But what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Now here's an interesting concluded story with full updates, entitled, "A year ago, I, 27 female, broke up with my lying boyfriend, 27 male. Today I found out that everyone else was lying and he was being truthful." And this was originally posted by user Oh Crap, crap spelt with a 4. And she begins, "A year ago I was about to move in with my first serious boyfriend, Josh, with whom I was head over heels in love, when one of my closest friends said that Josh had shown them a nude photo of me on his phone when he was drunk during a party. 5 or 6 more of my friends corroborated the story and told me that Josh also talked in extreme detail about our sex life when showing the photo. It was sickeningly detailed. This did not sound at all like Josh. When I asked him what the frick was going on, he denied everything. He eventually got very angry and started calling all of my friends liars. At one point, he showed up at my place while some of them were visiting, and things got a little physical. It was really a very strange turn of events in my life. Josh seemed so worked up, and all of my close friends were calling him a liar. Josh had taken photos of me on his phone, which I know was stupid, but heat of the moment and everything. So I trusted my friends, and I broke up with Josh. It was heart-wrenching. Josh begged me to believe him. He started tearing up, nearly punched a wall, and left angrily. I was really grossed out at the time and felt super conflicted. A few months later, I started dating one of the friends, Alex, who had told me about Josh showing everyone the photo. All of my friends were pushing me to date Alex at the time. We didn't really sync and it didn't go past a few months, but we remain friends of sorts. So today, another friend sends me a message that says he just wanted to get something off his chest. The story about Josh wasn't true, and they were really trying to get me to date Alex, so they made up that story about Josh. After talking to a few of the other people, including Alex, it's all come out that they were lying. It was this freaking orchestrated BS event that totally changed my life forever. Apparently they hated Josh and thought he was bad for me and a butthole. That was my freaking decision. I'm shaking right now. I cried in the office bathroom for about 2 hours afterwards. I loved Josh so much. We were planning a life together, and I've been friends with that group since high school. What the frick? I guess I'm supposed to stop talking to my friends, right? I can't possibly come back from this and still talk to them, right? This basically nukes my group of friends, but how could I ever even look at them again? Also, I need closure with Josh. Can I call him? Should I call him? Should I unblock him on Facebook and message him? What do I do? And then she posts an update saying, "Even though everyone seemed to think this was a terrible idea, I sent Josh an email on Friday. I copied it here. Josh, I don't know if you're still connected to anyone on Facebook, but if you are, you probably already know why I'm sending this. And I know it's totally unfair and selfish to contact you, but I cannot imagine going through the rest of my life without apologising. So before I say a bunch of embarrassing things, more than anything I want to say I'm sorry I didn't trust you. I'm sorry I let other people decide our relationship. I'm sorry for what I put you through. But I figure this might be my only chance to say this, so here comes the really lame, embarrassing stuff. I spent the past day thinking about the past year, where I would be if I believed in you, what my life would be like. Will we be engaged? Will we be married? I'm not over you. I want to try again. I'm not asking you to marry me, but if you ever find yourself thirsty, I would love to buy you a beverage of your choice. I want to talk to you again. I miss everything about our relationship. I miss you getting annoyed when I stole your French fries. I miss fighting with you over money. I miss making you breakfast. I miss watching The Office with you over and over and over. I miss you. My information is still the same. I would not blame you if you ignored and deleted this. Just know that I am really, really sorry. So I sent it and I tried to take my mind off of it. Just writing it and sending it was extremely cathartic. I spent Saturday morning sitting around watching old movies when someone rang my doorbell. Assuming it was Amazon, I ignored it and waited for the delivery driver to leave so that I could sneak out and grab the package. I was in my robe. After a minute or two, I walked over to the door and looked through the hole. It was Josh. Obviously, my heart leapt into my throat. I had been compulsively checking my phone for a response, but I was not expecting something like that. Everything in my house, including me, was pretty dishevelled. I cracked the door, smiled, said hi, and told him that I had to get dressed really quick. What a terrible interaction. So I ran around my place, throwing stuff into corners, pulled my hair back, found something to wear, and went back to the door. I'm here for that beverage. I only had OJ and water, which was also pretty embarrassing, but Josh stuck around anyways. He didn't ask many questions, really. I started to talk about the nude photo incident, but he said he didn't really care to talk about it. We both know all of the details now. The conversation eventually grew a bit aimless, and we were just talking like old times. It was wonderful. He asked if I was hungry. I wasn't really, but of course I said I was. We went to a nearby burger place that we used to go to all the time. He did ask whether or not I had dated Alex. He didn't seem to be upset by my answer. I asked him if he'd dated anyone. He had a 6-month relationship in the interim. She sounded great, but I didn't pry. When we got back to my place, Josh asked what I was doing for the rest of the day. I don't have plans. We spent the rest of the day together, then the night. It's totally stupid to move that fast, but I'm not going to spend much time worrying about it. I'm feeling happy. We spent part of Sunday together too, then Tuesday and Wednesday. We discussed what we were doing. 2 single people dating each other was the consensus. Exclusive? Yes. I think the world of him and will always regret what happened. No matter what though, I'm extremely happy I sent the letter to him. It's interesting to think that if he'd actually done what everyone accused him of, and then I took him back, I would probably have trust issues. Now, obviously, I trust him to the core. He could tell me the world was flat and I'd have trouble questioning him. Just a weird thought I've been having. So that's the story. We're together again. Will it work out? I hope so. No matter what, things are better today than they were last week. Ah, well that's an adorable rom-com of a Reddit thread, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of easy to blame her with all the kind of hindsight, but I think, you know, if you had 6 people all telling you it was definitely something that had happened, that he'd been showing her photos like that, it's a lot for him to try and, you know, prove his innocence against. But what kind of friends do that? Like, conspire together just so that she'll date one of them instead of the boyfriend that she clearly was really happy with. What a load of complete bellends. But what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. That's all for this video, but look out for more coming very soon. Have a great rest of your day or evening out there, and I'll see you next time.